This weekend, the Japanese Grand Prix took place in Suzuka, Japan. And ladies and gentlemen, we had our first snoozer of the season. It's lights out, and away we go for episode 171 of the Eaton Asphalt podcast. Sometimes you're going to have those,
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have a race like that, and you just have to smile and realize it comes with the territory.
Tell me a sport that doesn't have bummers of games, matches, races. Every sport has them.
Yeah,
This one is just, you only got 23 on the docket. So these, feel like they stick out more. And when you're battling for sleep, stick out even more.
at least we're not like our livelihood doesn't depend on having like stories like F1 media. Like I feel so bad for them when they're just trying to put it. They're like, oh, let's look at the crowd here. Any crazy people in the crowd? Oh, look at that guy. Look at his outfit. That's awesome. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, they're struggling for some storylines here.
Yeah. Even post race too. It's just like who won, who lost. It's like everyone lost, I guess.
Well, luckily, we have a quick turnaround time for Bahrain. So we got a twofer for the people here. We have our hot lap recap, our TikTok takes, our winners and losers, our gambling predictions recap, Bahrain Grand Preview, our country fun facts, and our predictions in gambling. So let's get right into it with our hot lap recap. All right, hot lap recap. So after a week-long break post-China, all F1 eyes shifted to Japan to see how the season would progress and to see if this season would continue what has been an interesting and riveting start. As far as the race is concerned, it was not. But starting on Saturday, qualifying kicked off with most eyes on the second Red Bull driver, Yuki Tsunoda, who finally got the call up at his home race in Suzuka. He did make it to Q2, which is more than can be said about his predecessor, but still probably didn't make for many smiles in the Red Bull garage as he'd only qualified 15th fastest in the same car that ended up on pole. Other notable things from qualifying, Ollie Behrman made it to Q3, seems to be hitting his stride well, qualifying 10th fastest. And from the clouds, Isaac Hadjar and the Racing Bulls. Standing ovation for him as the French Algerian driver out qualified Lewis Hamilton to qualify 7th fastest. Moved on to Sunday for the race. Don't want to sound like a drama queen, but total snooze fest. Not many drivers taking big risk on tires. No DNFs. If it hadn't been for Lewis Hamilton and Isaac Hadjar switching spots, the top 10 would have been the exact same as the starting grid. It would have finished the same way it started. So Lando Norris had a little bit of a snafu in the pit lane, which made for some interesting pictures and kind of the only main talking point or only main mean point from this. Going side by side with Max Verstappen in the grass. And honestly, thank God for that, because otherwise, I'm not sure we would have really anything to talk about as far as like a highlight reel from this race. But the top three, as mentioned, finished the same as they started. Max at the top, accompanied by the two Papaya drivers on the podium. Lando leads Max by a measly 1 point at the moment, and McLaren sit 36 points ahead of Mercedes at the top of the constructors. At least we got Bahrain, you know?
Yes. I mean, in theory, polar opposite races.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, that's definitely right. But anyway, that's our hot lap recap. Now let's move on to our TikTok takes presented by Marco.
All right. My TikTok take is going to be, hear me out here. If a race has less than 5 true overtakes, minus Monaco, the race should be removed from the schedule for next year, no matter what the contract term goes through.
I love that.
5. 5 isn't a ton. I don't think this would have qualified. I think this would have been booted for next year. But I think it puts a little put into perspective. Take away a doozer of a race, you put in something else that could switch it up, and that's just kind of like how it is. It's being like it's a relegation mode.
We already have Monaco. We can't have more Monacos. More
Yeah,
Monacos is going to be very bad for the sport.
yeah. Monaco without the prestige is a turd.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's my TikTok take. I feel like I don't know how else you fix it other than you can't really fix the track too much unless you just say, "Hey, we're doing a complete renovation." I also hate how I say this all the time, but I also hate how I think about like 80% of the tracks, you always hear the drivers like, this is like my favorite track. Got a lot of this
Yeah.
is my favorite track this week. Great fun track for the drivers. Terrible fun track for terrible track for the everyone else, all the viewers. Too many favorite tracks for the drivers.
You should have to say at the beginning of the season, like what's your favorite track?
Mm-hmm.
And then we hold you accountable if you say that in mid-season, being like, no, you're a liar.
Yeah.
And here's a 2 point deduction from your
Yeah,
driver's
yeah.
qualification.
Accountability.
All right, good stuff. Anything else for TikTok take?
That's my only take for
Right
TikTok.
on. Yeah. Not a lot to work with this weekend.
No, I mean, I think it's a fair thing to kind of dive into where it's just like, I mean, you guys fucked up. Sorry. A little subjective, I would say, what a true overtake is. But I feel like bipartisan party could look at this and be like, that's an overtake, that's an overtake. The Lewis one at the very beginning, that was one, and I think there was like maybe two more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I like it. All right. Well, send it in, put it in stone. Let's move on from TikTok takes to our winners and losers. Okay, winners and losers. Let me start with the winners on a positive note. Isaac Hajar, we mentioned it, but qualifying P7 and finishing P8. He is now the top scorer for Racing Bull, so having scored 4 out of the team's last 8 points. I think Helmut Marko should have to slice onions in front of Isaac Hajar on camera, and Isaac Hajar gets to comment on whether or not Helmut Marko cries. This is the ultimate, like, haha, Helmut Marko, who's the crier now?
yeah, I mean, I feel like Helmut's not the type of guy to be like, my bad. I feel like he's going to find a nice slant about this. On the other side of things, I did see an article already after this weekend, just one, and I don't know if it was probably not reputable, but it was like, should Isaac Hajar get the chance at the Red Bull second seat? I was like, dude, we can't keep doing this.
If there is a time to do it, it's when somebody in
It's
a
like we're just
racing
going to
bull
do like a
finishes the
1 week rotating guy until we find someone that gets a top 10.
It should be a raffle. It should be a raffle of anybody in the Red Bull organization gets to step up and have one or maybe two races in the Red Bull. It's not going to
I mean,
matter, right?
it can't get any worse than it is now. So yeah, why not?
No. Um, Other winner, Max Verstappen fans. I find myself forgetting sometimes that Max Verstappen is Max Verstappen. This weekend was a good reminder. Seeing one of the best to ever race in a car do it, and I feel like that's sometimes lost on us. But on Twitter, everybody had a bit of a field day saying how good Max Verstappen was, and like, yeah, he is. In the car that somebody else who's a good, reputable driver, right, has shown quality. Somebody qualified P15, he got pole, and then holding on to pole in a car that is worse than the McLaren. I think hats off. It's always good to recognize greatness when greatness is happening.
Yeah, I mean, this year, as of right now, last year, these are the two most impressive years. I know super earlier this year for Max, very legacy talk, and the fact that like, not that I can recall of a world champion driver having this much of a discrepancy. Obviously, I think he killed the record for the amount of points that he won for world championship versus his teammate last year. This seems like it's going down the similar track, but any other world champion that had this big of a discrepancy between their second driver and won it, I feel like that's a pretty telltale of like, this guy's the real deal. Maybe the
Yeah,
goat.
definitely.
Maybe.
So maybe I'm not going to have that conversation. Any other winners on your side?
I'm just gonna throw it back to Sergio Perez because the guy's gonna be sitting down being like, I got 2 years of absolutely being dogged, and you guys are scrambling to find drivers right now that are not doing nearly as well as I am.
I mean, is it out of the question for him to come back? Like, are they like, hey, that was weird of
I
us.
don't.
Come
Yeah,
on
yeah,
back.
yeah. Like maybe we overthought things a little bit. It's like a really toxic relationship kind of thing.
Um, all right, losers, F1 fans. We talked about this one. We don't have to spend too much time on it, but boring races happen in F1. Comes with the territory. I wish that it didn't happen when it was late. There should be. How about a break in case of emergency button? If a race is showing to be really really bad in the last 15 laps, race control gets to hit a break in case of emergency button, and like I'm thinking Mario Kart style, like ink goes on the visors of the drivers, or they get to like power down a car at random, like it just like goes on a
Mm,
wheel, maybe spin a wheel, and then if a car lands bad, then I'm spitballing, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like if you run over a certain part of the track, you get to like cut through the track. That's an advantage, you know?
nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Little
Yeah,
cut,
maybe
little
radio
shortcut.
communications get cut. That seems
Yeah.
easy. Like cut radio communications.
Yeah. Yeah. No water for some of the drivers.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
prank water, where it's like vodka.
Oh yeah, that would be actually hilarious. You just get them blitzed.
And then my other loser, Jack Doohan, hitting the wall pretty hard during free practice. One of the bigger shunts in recent memory. Couldn't really get out of the car unassisted, which was pretty disturbing to see. But tough weekend for the guy. That the season is just not set up for success. I bet he feels Franco Colapinto just lurking in the background, ready to pounce on his seat. But there we go, just another tough weekend for that guy.
Nice. Yeah. My losers, actually, none of ours overlapped this here. I'm going to go with McLaren strategists. Obviously, them being a loser on the 2-3 finish, that's, I'll tell you, take that any day. But it was very, very clear Oscar Piastri was in a much faster car, was doing much better. And then they, similar to last year, where they just could not decide, like, hey, are we going to let Lando win the world drive, like the driver's championship? Or are we going to, like, Oscar's ahead of him? Let's not do this, racing orders. It seemed like we're seeing that again early this year because Piastri definitely had the chance to chase Max and never got it.
Yeah, that one seems like a layup. Like, hey, let the faster guy go through.
Yeah,
Like Oscar was faster than Lando,
yeah,
so like let him go chase. In the worst case scenario, trade back. But
yeah.
uh, yeah, don't know. Didn't like it.
The other two, I have Alpine getting driver cucked again. This is one of the articles that came out after the race because there's not much to talk about. But obviously, 2 years ago, Oscar Piastri, Alpine kind of jumps the gun saying, hey, we signed him. And he's like, no, we didn't. And now Rio Hirakawa is leaving to be the reserve driver for Haas. So you're losing your reserve driver. Apparently, he did pretty good in FP1, and they were like, we want him. And so he left over. Well, fun fact about Rio, he's 31, so it's not like they're getting like some young blood stud here. Kind of an experienced
How rich is
driver.
that guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he's just chilling around. I haven't heard his name before this weekend, but apparently people are pretty pumped at the Haas garage for this. So my
There you
last
go,
one is gonna,
Haas.
yeah, I mean, got him again. My last one is gonna be fires because throughout free practice and quals, just fires sparking everywhere along the course. That was the only fire going on this weekend. I honestly wished there was some like rains Sunday. I wish that there was fires going on Sunday because they would have had a red flagged, and the only potential craziness that we would have gotten would have been a restart, which maybe something crazy could have happened there. But yeah, man, that I made it through Q2 of quals and then red flag for fire for the end of Q2. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to stay up for another hour because it was almost 2 a.m. for me. So that was a little frustrating to see. Feel like sprinklers should be included around all tracks.
There's just a lot of area to cover for sprinklers, though, don't you think?
I'm not some sprinkler expert. I'm just here to solve
Okay.
problems. I'm not here about the details. You know, I'm a big 30,000 feet kind of guy.
All right, let's move on from Japan. Let's get into our actually let's talk about our gambling predictions recap before that. But before we get to that, we have a sponsor. We have sponsors back on this podcast, Marco. Pretty exciting. And this part of
Whoa.
the podcast is brought to you by Japanese tariffs. So for centuries, the American people and the Japanese people have been getting along absolutely perfectly. I think there is like one massive exception to that rule, but overall, very, very good relationship between America and Japan. But no longer can America accept the disrespect that Japan has showed to American citizens. Starting a race at 1 a.m. Eastern time is bad enough, but no rain, barely any order changes, 20 cars finishing the race. Something's got to give here. So, in response, Eaton Asphalt Podcast, in conjunction with Donald Trump at the White House, has levied a 9,000% tariff on all Japanese goods with no exceptions. We look forward to reopening negotiations on the 12th of April, 2026, when Suzuka will have another chance to prove that this past race was an anomaly, but until then, cars, electronics, anime, and all hibachi related activities will suffer the consequences. So, Eating Asphalt podcast in the White House. Hope a resolution can be reached next year, but until then, we hope the industries in Japan take a good hard look at the mirror next time they think about the consequences of making the Eating Asphalt podcast in the White House both very, very sleepy and very, very bored on a Saturday night. All right, let's move on to our gambling predictions recap. All right, gambling predictions. This is my favorite part of the podcast. Yuki, top six, did not hit. Lando, fastest qualifier and winner. Actually, neither of those hit. Under 17 and a half cars to finish, did not hit. So we're at 1-6, -4 units. We've said this before, but this time it does feel different. Bahrain, make it rain. Do good at gambling. Money coming out of our ears. So moving on.
Moving on. Mine's not much better. I really thought Liam breakout race to show the Red Bull team they made a mistake. Incorrect. Liam over Hajar, wrong. Liam over Carlos, wrong. Max top three, should have done Max race winner plus 120. So I am now on the season 2 and 4, minus 2.3 units there.
Right on. All right. Now let's actually shift gears and talk about this new upcoming race that always delivers here, Bahrain. Marco, give us our Bahrain Grand Preview.
All right, Bahrain. Bahrain is a tiny island country off the coast of Saudi Arabia. Very small country, but there is lots and lots and lots of oil, people, great culture, and just like a smidge of human rights violations. But we're not here to talk about the excessive force by authorities, a bunch of torture and detention camps, killing political protesters and journalists, not very cool with women. We're here to talk about the track because the track takes care of all of that. Drivers will run around this track 57 times. It's about 3.3 miles long with 15 turns. A lot of different ways to win in this track. So including the Sakir Grand Prix where Sergio Perez went from last to first for his first win in 2020. So obviously, like very exciting. It's not hey, pole position is going to be, for sure winner here. So I think something to look out for and something to be excited for. You can go, like we said, last to first, which means excellent opportunities for overtake, plenty around this track. So we got 3 DRS zones and 4 straights. So 3 DRS zones, 4 straights, a lot of passing opportunity. Turn 10, we're going to actually see a ton of passing opportunity. It's a very tight angle off of a downhill. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers kind of dive into the inside corner and try to pass. So be on the lookout for turn 10. Gutsy drivers are going to be looking to set them up for an overtake. Obviously, just an ideal racetrack here. And I think I'm saving the best for last. Is personally my favorite. It is a nice race, a night race. So, that's always the best. Obviously, on a viewing spectacle, seeing a night race is always fun. But also, in Sakir, we have a late morning viewing Saturday and Sunday. So pop open some mimosa, champagne, make some mimosas, Bloody Marys, start your Saturday and Sunday off nice with some Formula One. Speaking of the weather there, since it's a nice race, we're not going to say what the high is. We're going to say what the low is. So Friday, 75, Saturday, 74, Sunday, 77. The highs are all mid to high 90s. So it's hot over in Bahrain.
Good thing they're racing that night.
Good thing. Honestly, let's make a race during the day, dude. After what we saw last week, punish.
We can try that. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's move on and educate our listeners on Bahrain even more and talk about our country fun facts, 2 truths and a lifestyle. Marco, I'll have you go first. Try to get me.
All right. My themes for this country fun facts are going to be animal themes. Love animals here. Chickens, tigers, and camels. Okay.
Chickens,
So
tigers,
first one.
easy.
Yeah, done. You want to guess right now?
Yeah, camels, but go ahead.
All right. Chickens. Bahrain has the highest chicken to person ratio in the world. 40 chickens to every person. 40 to 1. They're everywhere, brother.
What are they doing with all these chickens?
There's too many chickens, you know? Another one, tigers. Tigers are the fifth most popular animal to have as a pet in Bahrain. Fucking sick. And then last one, camels. Unlike the rest of the world where they do beauty pageants with women, Bahrain performs camel beauty contests where camels are judged based on posture, eyelashes, nose shape, and gait.
All right, I'm 100% sure that camels is true because because I'm 99.99% sure that camels is true because that seems like exactly something they would do over there.
They love
Uh,
camels.
they like weird love camels. I am gonna say, even with the oil money, tigers being the fifth most popular pet is not true.
Nice.
That'd
Nice. You got it.
be crazy. It did
That would
make
be
me think
crazy.
a bit because I was like, if I had a bunch of oil money, I would get tigers.
You would think. I actually didn't look up. It could be true. I made it up, but it wouldn't put it past me. That also is true.
Also, 40 chickens for every human is a crazy number of chickens.
Yeah, are they big? I just doesn't seem like a country that eats meat.
Yeah, let's
I
go
just
with that.
I don't know if this like why if that is the case, I'm making some judgments and like assumptions. If that is the case, why are they there?
Can't explain it. But now our viewers know that there's a lot of chickens in Bahrain. All right, my turn. I got sandcastles, pearl diving, and pirates. So first is sandcastles. Bahrain hosts an annual sandcastle competition for adults only. This event allegedly attracts architects who build elaborate sandcastles with hidden rooms and tunnels. Sandcastles. We got pearl diving. The Bahraini government offers free pearl diving lessons to all citizens. Every Bahraini citizen is entitled to a free pearl diving training as part of their cultural heritage, ensuring the tradition continues. We got pirates. Bahrain was once ruled by pirates. Before Portuguese rule, Bahrain was owned by a notorious pirate clan that used the island as a base for treasure hoarding and ship raids. We got sandcastles, pearl diving, or pirates.
I'm gonna go with pirates.
Pirates is true. Before Portuguese rule, Bahrain was inhabited by pirates.
Well,
What's your
you like
second
that.
guess?
First one then is the lie sandcastles.
I got you with all three again. Sandcastles is a competition that Bahraini government puts on,
Wow.
but pearl diving, while pearls are a big part of the Bahraini culture, they don't offer pearl diving.
Uh,
Made that one up.
they that is a fact.
Do they really?
Yes, I saw that in their facts.
Is pearl diving offered by the government?
Oh, maybe not by the government, but they do free pearl diving there.
Oh yeah, pearl diving is like a big part of what they do. I don't
Mm.
think pearl diving lessons are given by the
Oh,
government.
so you're doing like very semantics. That's true. Like this is lie, huh?
I just saw that pearls were a big part of the culture and
No, it's
like
fine,
the
dude. I
people
saw
do
that it
pearl
was they have
diving.
like the Pearl Highway, and they said you can do pearl diving for free.
Well,
You got me. You got me. Fuck me, right?
you're just bargaining. All right, now that our listeners are completely educated on everything Bahrain, let's talk about predictions and gambling for this upcoming race. All right, gambling. We said it before. This is where it turns around. I'm saying it with less and less vigor every time. But um, okay, hold on. Did you change my odds here?
Yeah, yeah. There's, yeah, I'll fix it.
Okay, like, what?
It's like, dude, you're going safe.
Those are right, right? Oh, you just yeah, you just yeah. I confirmed, dickhead. All right, Jordan, cut all that. All right, let. I'm so confused. I was like, no, wait, dude.
I would have done that.
All right. Now that our listeners are fully educated on everything that has to do with Bahrain, let's get to our race predictions and gambling. I am going to go a Lando heavy race this time around. So I'm going to give a Lando race winner plus 160, 1 unit there. And I'm going to get Lando pole plus 165, 1 unit there. So really just need one of these to hit, and I'm in the green for the weekend. But both of them will hit, and your boy's going to start making money again.
Making some good money. All right, my turn. Oh, your wild card.
My wild card is I'm going to say three safety cards. Hasn't happened since 2022, I think. But yeah,
So
three
not
safety
inclusive
cards.
of virtual.
Correct. Not inclusive of virtual.
Nice. Okay. All right. Here I go. Max. So I looked at this Sunday. So my options were pretty limited. Max top three. That means I feel really good about these. Max top three minus 185. 1 unit there. Kimmy top six, looking pretty good in that Mercedes. Kimmy top six minus 155. 1 unit there. My wild card is we're going to see a new team winning this race.
So outside of a McLaren or Red Bull, so you're
Yep.
basically saying Ferrari or Mercedes are going to win that race. I love
That hurts, but thank you.
that. That will be crazy. If
Yeah, what a
Ferrari won the
fucking
race.
crazy wild card. Yeah. Oh,
All
also,
right, everybody.
before we move on, forgot to say this at the Bahrain International Circuit. What it looks like, it does look like basically pick any type of cardinal mascot as the face. Him curling his bicep. We have two examples of what this cardinal looks like. I think I nailed it. Ian, what are your thoughts? Posted some good
I
examples.
Yeah, I think you nailed it too. Flip that
Okay.
one cardinal around the other way, and it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. I actually looked into how you could flip that in Google Sheets. You can't.
Okay, strange, but okay. All right, everybody. Well, that'll do it for us for episode 171 of the Eaton Asphalt Podcast. Enjoy Bahrain, and we will see you on the other side of the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah.
See you, assholes.
Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye.
I used to say I lived my life a quarter mile at a time. And I think that's why we were brothers. Because you did too.